The early English settlers in America were a bold mix of adventurers, religious refugees, and fortune seekers. They crossed the Atlantic in pursuit of wealth, freedom, and a fresh start. But what awaited them was far from easy. They would battle harsh winters, deadly diseases, and clashes with Native American tribes, all while struggling to carve out a new life in an unfamiliar land. The year was 1587. A fleet of English ships, led by John White, reached the shores of Roanoke Island. The settlers stepped onto the land, filled with hope and uncertainty, eager to build a new future. But fate had other plans. When White returned from England 3 years later, he found the colony completely deserted. Its only clue, the word CROATOAN, carved into a tree. The fate of the Roanoke settlers remains one of history's greatest mysteries.
English settlement and colonization in America truly took roots in the early 17th century, opening a defining chapter in America's story. The first permanent English settlement was established in 1607 at Jamestown, Virginia, by the Virginia Company of London, named after King James I. This wasn't just an adventure, it was a business venture, driven by dreams of gold, riches, and new trade routes. However, Jamestown's reality was brutal. Settlers faced disease, starvation, and violent clashes. The 13 colonies were established by England along the eastern coast of North America between the early 1600s and 1700s. They were divided into 3 regions: New England, Middle, and Southern colonies, each with unique economies, religions, and governments. Virginia, 1607, the first permanent English colony, founded at Jamestown. Tobacco farming made it wealthy. Massachusetts, 1620, founded by Pilgrims, Plymouth, and later Puritans, Massachusetts Bay, seeking religious freedom. New Hampshire, 1623, a fishing and trading colony, later absorbed into Massachusetts before becoming independent. Maryland, 1634, a haven for Catholics, established by Lord Baltimore. Connecticut, 1636. Founded by Puritans, it created one of the first written constitutions, the Fundamental Orders. Rhode Island, 1636. Founded by Roger Williams for religious freedom and separation of church and state. Delaware, 1638. Originally settled by the Dutch and Swedes, later taken by the English. North Carolina, 1663, separated in 1712. Known for small farms and its independent spirit. South Carolina, separated in 1712, developed large plantations and a strong economy based on rice and slavery. New York, 1664, originally Dutch, New Amsterdam, seized by the English and renamed. New Jersey, 1664, taken from the Dutch and divided into East and West Jersey before unifying. Pennsylvania, 1681, founded by William Penn as a safe haven for Quakers, promoting religious tolerance and democracy. Georgia, 1733, the last colony, created as a place for debtors and a buffer against Spanish Florida. The colonies developed self-government with institutions like the House of Burgesses in Virginia and the Mayflower Compact in Massachusetts. While they remained under British rule, their growing economies and independent spirit set the stage for the American Revolution.
Here's the story of how 13 bold colonies took root in America, each with its own unique struggles, triumphs, and dreams. From the swamps of Virginia to the bustling ports of New York and the rice fields of the Carolinas, these colonies would lay the foundation for a nation. Virginia Colony is the first permanent English settlement in North America, founded in 1607 by the Virginia Company, a joint stock company seeking profit. The settlers established Jamestown, along with the James River in present-day Virginia. The first years were brutal, The settlers, mostly gentlemen unaccustomed to hard labor, struggled with food shortages, disease, and conflicts with the Powhatan Confederacy, the powerful Native American group in the region. The colony faced a devastating period known as the Starving Time, 1609 to 1610, during which many colonists died from hunger and exposure. Some even resorted to cannibalism to survive. Jamestown might have failed if not for John Rolfe, who introduced tobacco cultivation in 1612. Tobacco quickly became Virginia's cash crop, attracting more settlers and investors. By exporting tobacco to England, the colony became profitable, ensuring its survival. Rolfe later married Pocahontas, daughter of Chief Powhatan, which temporarily improved relations with Native Americans.
Virginia played a crucial role in the development of American democracy. In 1619, the House of Burgesses was established, making it the first elected legislative body in the American colonies. This allowed settlers to have a voice in their government, laying the foundation for self-rule. Also, in 1619, a Dutch ship arrived in Virginia carrying enslaved Africans, marking the beginning of slavery in English America. Over time, as tobacco plantations expanded, slavery became a major part of Virginia's economy and society. As Virginia grew, tensions between wealthy landowners and poorer settlers increased. Nathaniel Bacon led a rebellion in 1676 against Governor William Berkeley, protesting high taxes, government corruption, and the lack of protection from Native American attacks. The rebellion briefly took control of Jamestown before being crushed. However, it exposed class struggles and encouraged the shift from indentured servitude to racial slavery. Virginia became the largest and most influential Southern colony, setting the model for plantation economies based on cash crops and enslaved labor. Its early struggles and political developments played a key role in shaping America's future government, economy, and society. Massachusetts colony was founded in 1620 by the Pilgrims, a group of English separatists seeking religious freedom. They arrived on the Mayflower and established Plymouth Colony, marking one of the earliest successful English settlements in North America. The Pilgrims originally planned to settle in Virginia, but rough seas forced them north to Cape Cod, where they landed at Plymouth Rock. Since they were outside the territory of the Virginia Company, they had no official government, so they created the Mayflower Compact. This document established a basic form of self-government, where settlers agreed to make and follow their own laws. It was one of the first steps toward democracy in America. The Pilgrims struggled through a brutal first winter, with nearly half dying from cold, hunger, and disease. However, in the spring of 1621, they formed an alliance with the Wampanoag tribe, who helped them learn to farm local crops like corn. The Pilgrims and Wampanoag later celebrated the first Thanksgiving, a temporary period of peace before tensions between Native Americans and settlers escalated in later years. In 1630, a larger and more powerful group of Puritans, led by John Winthrop, established the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Unlike the Pilgrims, who wanted to separate from the Church of England, the Puritans aimed to reform it. Winthrop famously called their colony a city upon a hill, believing it should serve as a religious example to the world. Massachusetts quickly grew, becoming the most populous and economically successful New England colony. The Puritans emphasized education, founding Harvard University, 1636, to train ministers. The colony also developed early forms of democracy with town meetings and elected representatives in the general court. However, the Puritan leadership was strict. Religious dissent was not tolerated, leading to conflicts with individuals like Roger Williams, who was banished and later founded Rhode Island, and Anne Hutchinson, who was expelled for challenging church authority. As Massachusetts expanded, tensions with Native Americans escalated. The Pequot War, 1636 to 1638, and King Philip's War, 1675 to 1676, were violent conflicts that resulted in the deaths of thousands of Native Americans and the near destruction of their tribes in New England. New Hampshire was one of the original 13 colonies, founded in 1623 as a fishing and trading settlement. It was the first colony established in New England after Plymouth and was initially part of the larger Massachusetts Bay Colony before becoming independent. New Hampshire was founded by Captain John Mason and Sir Ferdinando Gorges, English proprietors who were granted land by the Council for New England. The first permanent settlements were established at Dover and Portsmouth, primarily as fishing and trading outposts. Unlike Massachusetts, which was settled for religious reasons, New Hampshire's economy focused on fishing, fur trading, and lumber. Life in New Hampshire was challenging due to harsh winters, rocky soil, and conflicts with Native American tribes. The colony remained small, with its economy driven by the abundant natural resources along the coast and rivers. Fishing, shipbuilding, and timber exports became its economic backbone.
Maryland was founded in 1634 as a haven for English Catholics facing persecution in Protestant England. Maryland was established by Cecilius Calvert, the second Lord Baltimore, after his father George Calvert, first Lord Baltimore, was granted a charter by King Charles I in 1632. The colony was named after Queen Henrietta Maria, the wife of Charles de Thurstier. The first settlers, led by Leonard Calvert, Lord Baltimore's brother, arrived on 2 ships, the Ark and the Dove, and founded St. Mary's City in 1634. Unlike other colonies that struggled with starvation, Maryland had a relatively peaceful beginning, thanks to friendly relations with Native Americans and fertile land. Maryland was unique in colonial America because it was founded as a safe place for Catholics who faced discrimination in England. However, many Protestants also settled in the colony, leading to religious tensions. To protect Catholic rights, Maryland passed the Act of Toleration in 1649, which granted religious freedom to all Christians. Maryland's economy was heavily based on tobacco farming, similar to Virginia. Large plantations required labor, first from indentured servants, and later from enslaved Africans. By the late 1600s, Maryland had become a major slave-based plantation colony, with African slavery becoming a permanent and essential part of its economy.
Connecticut was founded in 1636 by Puritan settlers seeking religious and political freedom. It became one of the most influential colonies in shaping American self-government thanks to the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, often considered the first written constitution in the American colonies. The colony was founded by Thomas Hooker, a Puritan minister who led a group of settlers from the Massachusetts Bay Colony to the fertile Connecticut River Valley. Hooker disagreed with the strict religious leadership in Massachusetts and believed that government should be based on the consent of the people. The first major settlements were Hartford, Wethersfield, and Windsor, which later united to form the Connecticut colony. One of Connecticut's most significant contributions to American democracy was the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, written in 1639. This document established a self-governing colony with elected leaders, served as a model for the U.S. Constitution, making Connecticut known as the Constitution State. As more settlers arrived, tensions with Native American tribes increased. The Pequot War, 1636 to 1638, was a brutal conflict between English settlers and the Pequot tribe. After a major battle in Mystic, Connecticut, English and native allies burned a Pequot village, killing hundreds. The war resulted in the near destruction of the Pequot people and opened up more land for English settlement. Connecticut's economy was diverse, unlike the plantation-based economies of the southern colonies. It was based on farming, corn, wheat, and livestock, fur trading and shipbuilding, due to its location near rivers and the coast, fishing and whaling, a major source of food and trade.
Rhode Island Colony was founded in 1636 by Roger Williams, a Puritan minister who was banished from the Massachusetts Bay Colony for his radical beliefs in religious freedom and separation of church and state. It became a refuge for those seeking religious tolerance and independence from strict Puritan rule. Roger Williams believed that government should not control religious beliefs and that Native American land should not be taken without fair payment. After being expelled from Massachusetts, he fled into the wilderness and was helped by the Narragansett Native Americans. With their aid, he purchased land and founded Providence, the first settlement in Rhode Island. Other dissenters soon followed, including Anne Hutchinson, who was also expelled from Massachusetts for challenging Puritan religious authority. She and her followers established the town of Portsmouth in 1638. Additional settlements, such as Newport and Warwick, formed over the next few years. This commitment to separation of church and state made Rhode Island one of the most progressive colonies and set an early example for religious tolerance in America. Rhode Island's economy was based on shipbuilding and trade. Its deep harbors made it a major center for commerce. Fishing and whaling. Like other New England colonies, it relied on the sea. Agriculture. Small farms produced dairy, corn, and livestock. Slave trade. Unfortunately, despite its progressive ideals, Rhode Island became involved in the transatlantic slave trade, with Newport serving as a major hub.
Delaware Colony was founded in 1638 by Swedish settlers as New Sweden, making it one of the few American colonies not initially established by the English. It later changed hands multiple times, passing from the Swedes to the Dutch and then to the English, and became a center for trade and farming. The colony was established by Peter Minuit, a former Dutch governor of New Amsterdam, New York, who led a group of Swedish settlers to North America. They founded Fort Christina, present-day Wilmington, along the Delaware River, naming the colony New Sweden. Delaware's economy thrived due to its rich farmland, river access, and trade connections. Key industries included farming, wheat, corn, and tobacco. Fur trading, especially under Swedish and Dutch rule. Shipbuilding and fishing, due to its location along the coast. Iron and manufacturing. By the 1700s, it developed small industries. Delaware was one of the most ethnically diverse colonies, with Swedish, Dutch, English, and German settlers, as well as Quakers, Catholics, and Protestants. This mix led to a more tolerant and open society compared to other colonies. Delaware's location made it a key player in trade, commerce, and early American history. It was the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution in 1787, earning its nickname, the First State. Its diverse population, early focus on self-government and economic success, made it an important colony in shaping the future United States.
North Carolina Colony was originally part of the larger province of Carolina, which was granted by King Charles II to a group of 8 noblemen known as the Lords Proprietors in 1663. However, due to geographical, economic, and political differences, it officially split from South Carolina in 1712, becoming its own colony. Before the official founding, the area had small settlements of Virginians, English, and Scotch-Irish farmers who moved south in search of land. Unlike South Carolina, which developed a plantation economy, North Carolina had small, self-sufficient farms instead of large plantations, dense forests, and swamps, making transportation and trade difficult. The first permanent settlement was in the Albemarle Sound region, where settlers grew tobacco, corn, and livestock. The settlers, who were fiercely independent, often resisted the authority of the Lords Proprietors. This led to Culpeper's Rebellion, 1677 to 1678, a revolt against unfair taxes and the colonial government. Carey's Rebellion, 1711, a power struggle between Anglicans, Church of England members, and dissenters, Quakers and other Protestants. In 1729, the colony became a royal colony, meaning it was now directly ruled by the British Crown. As settlers expanded westward, they clashed with Native American tribes. The most significant conflicts were The Tuscarora War, 1711 to 1715. The Tuscarora people, angered by unfair trade practices and land encroachment, attacked settlers. The war ended with the Tuscarora being defeated and many being forced to move north. South Carolina's early settlers included English planters from Barbados, who brought the plantation system and enslaved African labor with them. Huguenots, French Protestants, Scots, Irish, and Germans, who contributed to trade and farming. South Carolina became a royal colony, meaning it was directly controlled by the British Crown.
South Carolina developed a plantation-based economy, relying heavily on enslaved labor. Its main exports included rice, Carolina gold. South Carolina's warm, wet climate was ideal for rice cultivation, making it the colony's most profitable crop. Indigo, a plant used to make blue dye, highly valued in European markets. Cattle and deer skins. Early settlers raised cattle and traded deer skins with Native Americans. Naval stores, tar and pitch from pine trees, were important for shipbuilding. The plantation system made South Carolina one of the wealthiest colonies, but it also created a society deeply dependent on slavery. Due to the large plantations, South Carolina had a high population of enslaved Africans who often outnumbered white settlers. Many worked on rice plantations under brutal conditions. One of the most significant slave uprisings in colonial America, the Stono Rebellion, 1739, took place in South Carolina. A group of enslaved people near Charleston revolted, killing several white settlers before being defeated. This led to even stricter slave codes, restricting the rights of enslaved people even further. South Carolina had conflicts with Native American tribes, particularly over land and trade disputes. The Yamasee War, 1715 to 1717. The Yamasee and other tribes, angry over unfair trade practices and land loss, attacked settlements. The war devastated the colony, but ended with a British victory, forcing many Native Americans to flee or be enslaved. South Carolina played a crucial role in shaping the Southern plantation economy and was one of the most powerful and influential colonies in British America. It was known for its wealthy elite, enslaved labor force, and strong ties to trade.
New York Colony was originally settled by the Dutch as New Netherland in 1624, but in 1664 the English took control and renamed it New York after the Duke of York, later King James II. The colony became a key center for trade, commerce, and cultural diversity, with a mix of Dutch, English, and other European settlers. Before the English takeover, the Dutch controlled the area as part of New Netherland, with the settlement of New Amsterdam, present-day New York City, as its capital. The Dutch built a strong fur trade with Native American tribes, established a policy of religious tolerance, allowing different faiths to settle, encouraged economic growth through private businesses and merchants. However, Dutch rule was weak, and the English saw the colony as a valuable trade hub that they wanted under their control. In 1664, King Charles II granted the New York land to his brother James, Duke of York. The colony was renamed New York in honor of the Duke of York. New York's economy thrived due to its strategic location along the Hudson River and the Atlantic coast. The colony became a major center for fur trade with Native Americans, wheat, corn, and livestock farming, shipbuilding and manufacturing, commerce, and banking. New York's cultural diversity, economic success, and strategic location made it one of the most important British colonies. It was a key center of commerce, immigration, and political activity.
New Jersey Colony was founded in 1664 after the English seized the region from the Dutch, Swedes, and Finns, and it was home to the Lenape Native Americans. New Jersey was known for its tolerant policies. The proprietors offered religious freedom to attract settlers, including Quakers, Puritans, Catholics, Jews, and others. Generous land grants to encourage farming and settlement, a representative assembly, giving colonists a say in local government, These policies made New Jersey one of the most diverse and welcoming colonies in British America. New Jersey's economy was based on farming. The colony had fertile soil, perfect for growing wheat, corn, vegetables, and livestock. Trade and shipbuilding. Due to its location between New York and Philadelphia, New Jersey became a key center for commerce, ironworking, and manufacturing. The colony developed early industries, producing tools, weapons, and other goods.
Pennsylvania Colony was founded in 1681 when King Charles II granted a vast land charter to William Penn, a Quaker leader. Penn established the colony as a refuge for Quakers and other persecuted religious groups, promoting religious tolerance, democracy, and fair treatment of Native Americans. Pennsylvania quickly became one of the most prosperous and diverse colonies in British America. William Penn, a devout Quaker, sought to create a colony based on religious freedom, fair government, and peaceful coexistence. The name Pennsylvania means Penn's Woods, in honor of his father, Admiral William Penn. Penn's holy experiment was unique because it welcomed Quakers, Catholics, Lutherans, Jews, and other persecuted groups. It guaranteed religious freedom and fair trials. It established a representative government, allowing settlers to have a say in laws. In 1682, Penn founded Philadelphia, which became the capital of Pennsylvania and one of the largest and most important cities in colonial America. Philadelphia became a center for trade, culture, and politics. Pennsylvania's rich farmland and central location made it one of the most economically successful colonies. Its economy was based on farming. The colony became known as the breadbasket of America, producing wheat, corn, oats, and livestock. Trade and shipbuilding, Philadelphia's port, connected Pennsylvania to Europe and the Caribbean. Iron and manufacturing. The colony developed industries producing tools, weapons, and household goods. Unlike many other colonies, Pennsylvania had peaceful relations with Native American tribes, especially the Lenape, Delaware people. William Penn insisted on buying land fairly rather than taking it by force. An elected assembly, giving settlers a voice in making laws. A written constitution, the frame of government, 1682, which protected religious freedom and fair trials. Equal rights for all Christians, a rare policy in the 1600s.
Georgia Colony was the last of the 13 British colonies, founded in 1733 by James Oglethorpe. It was established for two main reasons: as a buffer colony to protect South Carolina from Spanish Florida, as a refuge for debtors and the poor from England, offering them a fresh start. Georgia was unique among the colonies due to its strict early rules, military importance, and diverse population. James Oglethorpe, a British soldier and social reformer, wanted Georgia to be a place where England's impoverished debtors and prisoners could start new lives instead of rotting in jail. However, few actual debtors came. Most settlers were farmers, artisans, and traders. King George II granted Oglethorpe and other trustees a charter to govern Georgia. The colony was named after the king. To create a self-sufficient, hard-working society, Oglethorpe and the trustees set strict rules. No slavery, no alcohol, to prevent laziness. No large plantations, only small farms to encourage equality. Georgia was Britain's southernmost colony, right next to Spanish Florida. This made it a key military outpost. Forts were built along the Savannah River. In 1742, Oglethorpe led troops in the Battle of Bloody Marsh, defeating the Spanish and securing Georgia for the British. Oglethorpe formed a friendly alliance with the Creek Nation, especially Chief Tomochichi. This helped Georgia avoid early conflicts with Native Americans. Georgia played a key role as a military buffer, economic center, and diverse colony.
The English settlement and colonization of America were driven by a combination of economic ambitions, religious motivations, and political expansion. From the establishment of Jamestown in 1607 to the growth of the 13 colonies, English settlers faced hardships, conflicts with indigenous peoples, and struggles for survival. Over time, these colonies developed unique economies, societies, and governments, laying the foundation for what would eventually become the United States. However, colonization also had lasting consequences, including the displacement of Native American populations and the introduction of slavery. The legacy of English colonization continues to shape American culture, politics, and society today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more history content. Let us know in the comments which part of English settlement history you found most interesting. See you in the next one.